$71,000. That's how much money I've lost the last 2 weeks playing poker. So many chances to turn things around, and not once did the cards fall my way. Walking out of the casino at 4 in the morning after losing a substantial part of your bankroll. Start questioning if you're even built for this anymore. Should I have ever quit? Should I have just listened to the Instagram comments, the YouTube comments? Go back to your 9 to 5. You're an idiot. People would kill for your job. And sometimes it starts to feel like they might be right. So yeah, I'm back at Bay 101, the place where this whole journey started. This was the first casino that I started playing poker at for a living. And, well, maybe it's just the place where I can turn around this downswing. I honestly have no idea if this video is ever gonna get posted based on what's been occurring to me the last 2 weeks. So I'm down $71,000 the last 17 days. Lost 15K today. Got it in way ahead twice in 10K pots and was lost. Dude, I don't know what's happening. I just don't win hands anymore. I'm not even tilted, I'm just sad. I don't know how much longer I can fucking do this. I wanna like go home and see my family and fucking quit poker. I don't know what I'm doing. It's lonely as fuck out here. Alright, see ya. Alright, just ran off my sins, gambling sins from last night. We're gonna fucking get them today, boys. We're gonna get them. We go to the fucking bank, withdraw 20K, head to Bay 101, and fuck up these regs that have been fucking me. I got it in like 2 75-25s in a row last night within 5 minutes. Lost both 10K pots and just lost every other hand. But you know what? I actually don't feel bad. Felt like shit last night. I was being a little bitch on my Instagram story, but I'm over that. And I'll see you guys at Bay 101. Oh, all right, boys. Went to the bank this morning, got out $20,000. Back at the Bay now. Lost 15K last night in horrendous fashion, but it's all right because we're here to get it back. We're here to play, not giving up. Still got enough to play my normal 10-20 game. We'll see what happens, boys, but I ain't quitting. So the casino involves a lot of waiting time. So usually what I'll do is just get a little area like this, corner of the room, kind of get set up and try and get some work done, basically. So like I have my script here that I'm working on. Yeah, you can see the rest of the casino is basically right there. And I kind of look like a fucking weirdo filming myself editing at the casino, but gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm just gonna upload some footage right now here and kind of just wait till my name gets called. I'm like 3rd on the list right now. I'm still waiting for a seat, but at least I got some delicious looking food here. I'll be beef. I was just talking to another pro about how brutal the game poker is to play for a living, and I actually wanted to interview him, but he was like not really down to encourage people to get into this because of how brutal it can be and how tough of a lifestyle it is. I was like, respect. There are actually so few reasons to get into poker full time. Like you can play professionally, or not professionally, but you can play and have a job playing good games because you're not a professional. The only thing is you still get to play all the time, but it's way healthier. You get to not have to decide where you live based off card room. You're not supposed to income. I'm sure the lifestyle looks cool playing poker, but very similar to like entrepreneurship or something, where the ceiling's way higher too for earning. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Everything I guess. Put it to your brain and then we blow it off. Put it to your brain and then we blow it. Dirty Sprite, pour it in my cup and then I'm not enough. I get to this money. No more chips. Can I get chips? We're playing 2, 3, 5, 20 with a $5,000 buy-in. What that means is there's $2 on the button, $3 in the small blind, $5 in the big blind, and then a mandatory $20 straddle. So we're basically playing 10-20. In this first hand, we'll call this guy Mr. Tech Sales. He's a traveling recreational player. He knows what's up though. Definitely not bad at poker by any means. He doesn't usually believe people when they put a lot of chips in, and he plays a lot of hands. In this first hand, Mr. Tech Sales raises the hijack to $60, and I defend in the straddle with Jack 4 of diamonds. It's technically a bit of a loose peel, but I think against this player it's going to be winning. We go to a flop of Ace 8-5 with 2 spades and 1 diamond, so we flop basically complete dust. But it goes check. And the turn is the 8 of diamonds, giving us a backdoor flush draw. So I check and he bets $60. I think he's just going to be pretty wide pre-flop and have trouble not stabbing that much of his air on the turn, and I think I'll just be able to steal the pot with a check raise a good amount of the time.
and I stick with my plan and check raise to $300. If he calls, my plan is to bet the river for a tiny size if the draws miss, and if I make a flush, I'm just gonna go very large because of how sticky he is. Sure enough, he calls and we go to the river 9 of diamonds, so we river the backdoor flush draw. Given how sticky this player is and that I said I wouldn't bluff the river for a large size if everything bricked, when I get there, I'm just going to be using a very big size. So I bet $2,000 into a pot of around $900. So basically 2x pot, and he goes into the tank for about 2 minutes, and I'm just thinking, please pay me, sir, please pay me. And he eventually does fold, and he shows us an ace. Given that he was thinking that long with an ace that presumably has a pretty poor kicker, given that he checked back the flop, I think I'm okay with my size in general. In the second hand, we're back up against Mr. Tech Sales, and he opens under the gun to $60, and we see a button flat from a more trying recreational player. I'm in the small blind now with aces, and I decide to squeeze it up to $400. Pretty big size, but the under the gun player is very sticky and not folding much, so I think it's pretty good. Sure enough, the under the gun player makes the call and the button folds, and we're going heads up to a flop of 9-10-3 with 2 diamonds. There's around $900 in the middle, and I go for a half pot size, just targeting 1 pair hands, draws, anything like that. And sure enough, the under the gun player makes the call. Now we go to a turned queen with roughly $2,000 in the middle. I go for a size of $1,400, expecting him to be very sticky with any Jack X hands, given you'll have an open-ended straight draw now, and I don't think this guy's the kind of guy to start folding a hand like Ace 10 or King 10 on the turn 3-bet pot. So I go for $1,400, and sure enough, he makes the call. Now there's around $5,000 in the middle, and we go to quite possibly the worst river in the deck, the King of Diamonds, bringing the front door flush draw and making any jack have a straight. I don't think there's anything to do here but check our hand. I just think it's really hard to get value from worse, and even if I did go for a block bet size, I think that could possibly induce a raise if he's ever going to find a bluff. I think he'll find it versus block, and he goes all in for $3,200, and I'm just really struggling to see what he'd be bluffing with here. I think he'd have to turn a hand like Ace 10, maybe even Ace Queen has to be turned into a bluff at this point, maybe even some 9-10 for bottom 2 pair need to be bluffed. I don't know. It seems really hard to find bluffs, and I don't think he's finding those, so I make a pretty quick fold.
But again, this guy is active. He raises from under the gun to $60, and the same button recreational player flats. Very similar spot to the last hand. I now squeeze to $440 with queens and a small blind. Honestly, it can just be going bigger because these guys aren't folding. I wish I'd chose a size like $600. Anyway, unsurprisingly, the under the gun player makes the call, and we're going to a pot with around $900 in the middle. We see a flop of Ace King 2 with 2 hearts. I start off with a small bet of $240, and the under the gun player quickly calls. Now we're going to a turn of 3 of diamonds, bringing in the backdoor flush draw, and I decide to check my hand, and he checks it back. Now we go to a river King of diamonds, and I think it's pretty close between a small bet and a check. I think a small bet is something I would use if I was bluffing, trying to make him fold an under pair or a hand like Queen Jack or Jack 10 that floated the flop. So I just went check, and he pretty quickly checked it back, and we lose to Ace Jack offsuit for top pair that played fairly passively. Session so far, we're down a few $1,000s, and it feels like we've played the same hand basically 5 times, where it goes action player open, I look down at a premium, squeeze, he calls, and then I lose the pot. Well, we're about to play another one of those hands, but hopefully this time we can win it. The action player raises from early position to $60, the small blind recreational player flats, and I'm in the big blind now with pocket queens, and I make it $440. And it folds back to the action player, who looks down at his cards and decides that $440 is not enough, and he puts in the 4-bet to $1,400. Small blind folds, and it's back on me now to make a decision. I think the action player is saying he has a hand like aces, kings, queens, and maybe ace king himself. If you think back to earlier in the session, he's played fairly loose passive, meaning he's opening a lot of hands and he's calling a lot of hands, but he's not putting in many raises himself. So I think his range is going to be pretty strong here. I actually think folding is probably okay. It's pretty close. I decided to call because I think he'll have ace king a lot, which is around 16 combos. And if he decides to play that ace-king passively post-flop, I'm just going to get to win the hand more often than I should with queens, because I just simply don't think he's going to turn ace-king into a bluff enough on the flop. And if he decides to pile in money, representing hands like aces, kings, and maybe queens himself, I'm just going to be comfortable folding because I'm not doing well against a range that comprises of aces and kings and a sliver of ace, king, and queens. So I call and we go to a flop of jack 7-5 with 2 clubs. I check and he pretty quickly bets $2,100, leaving himself not very much behind and basically saying he's fully committed. And I stick to my plan and make a very painful, but I think disciplined fold, losing yet another large pot to the same player. The cutoff, it's a pretty one, so I raise it up to $60, and the small blind, a European pro, 3 bets us to $300. Could 4-bet, could call, doesn't matter, just can't fold. I decide to put in the call this time, and we go to a flop with around $5,000 in each of our stacks, and we go to a flop of queen 8-3 with 2 clubs. So I flop 1 over and the nut flush draw, and our opponent pretty quickly bets 1/3 pot for $200, and not much to do here except I think just make the call with our hand. We're going to a turn now, which is a brick 5, and our opponent fairly quickly bets $750 into a pot of around $1,000. I think at this point he's saying he has a good queen plus, but it really doesn't matter what he has at this point. Our hand is just a very clear continue. So I make the call. Going to a river with $2,500 in the middle, and please dealer, give us some help, and help is what we get. The river and ace, but not a flush completing card. It is the ace of spades, and our opponent counts out betting chips, and he fires out a bet of $2,000, around 2/3 pot. I don't really think we beat much value here, given that I don't think he's just betting a hand like pocket kings, for example, for the size, or a hand like king queen or queen jack. I think that's pretty hard to imagine a universe where that's happening, and there's just not that much worse ace x that he has that arrives to the river in this fashion. So I don't think we beat value frequently, but the question is, do we beat enough bluffs? And I think the answer is almost certainly yes. I think the ace is a river that a lot of professionals and aggressive regulars are going to perceive as scary and almost better for them. So I think if he was bluffing a hand like jack 10, king jack, 6-7, something like that on the turn, or even a worse flush draw, this might be one of those rivers where he just decides to follow through, thinking he can make me fold a hand like weak queen x, pocket jacks, pocket 10s, some middling pairs. So I decide that, we do beat value once in a blue moon, and we definitely beat bluffs here, so I'm just always going to call this hand, and I make the call, and of course we get shown the bad news. He has ace queen of hearts for 2 pair, and we lose another fairly large pot, around $7,000.
Alright guys, let's go for a walk. Just played fine tonight. Honestly, 6.5k is nothing in this game. I think it's just the fact that I feel like I can't win. It's a little depressing. Hurts. Yeah, I'm kind of just sad right now, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not even sad. It's just like feeling defeated. A bit of helplessness. A bit of what can I even do? I wouldn't really have changed anything about the way I played today. Maybe there were a few small things that might have been like $100 mistakes, like a 5 big blind mistake. Not even. I don't even know. But it's like, yeah, just painful. Someone walked up to me in there and was like, it's honestly the reason I'm filming this right now, because I had no desire to film after just the last few days, but I just had people reaching out to me saying how much it helps them to see me post my results, my wins and losses, mostly losses lately, and how they said I'm open with my feelings and how it's refreshing to see because no one else posts that. I mean, yeah, it hurts, to be honest. It makes me question myself as a person. Sometimes I feel like an imposter, just like I don't belong. I've just been lucky my entire poker career. People were right about me, that I'm just a fish. Yeah, I mean, that stuff just hurts to think about, and I try to tell myself that I'm not. Deep down, I think I'm good at poker, but on the times like this, it's like, I don't know, but I've lost almost $80,000 in the last 18 days. Of course, a lot of that was at high stakes, but it's like, I don't know, man, it just makes you question your sanity. I gotta do some math, check what the bankroll is tonight. Guys,
guys. And now I'm going home to Boston and I literally don't know what I'm gonna do. Banned from the win, can't play cards there. I'm like have this like internal thing where I want to get the money back, but now I'm going home and play cards and I feel like, and I can't play cards and I feel like I'm gonna be restless, like actually restless at home. I don't know what to do when I'm back home. I literally cannot play live poker. I don't really want to play online. I just don't know what I'm gonna do, but I need to see my family. I want to see my family. I want to see my friends. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lazy piece of shit too for not playing enough now, and like I'm such a why am I being such a pussy and going home? Why don't I just stay here and grind? Oh, I'm gonna end my spiel. It's been a tough few weeks, boys. Not gonna lie.
Alright boys, day 101 session, last night lost 6.5k, night before that lost 15k, down like 21 to start the month, playing well, doesn't fucking matter, I'm gonna make that shit back, I don't care how long it takes, I keep playing good, I'll see you guys there for the session, peace. Yippee! Let's see how the poker gods decide to fuck me in the ass today. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the mindset. We're gonna win today, potentially, if we run well and play well. Mostly run well. Good luck, guys. See you in the session. Joe, you got enough water there, dude?
I'm getting ready for the fucking 13-hour session. I'm gonna play with you. Like all these
dollars yesterday, but we are not gonna let that stop us today. If you want to play stake like 10-20 for a living, you're just gonna have to get used to 5-figure swings. These games are bigger, that kind of swing is common, it's just gonna happen. Just gotta keep showing up. So we're buying in for $5,000 again, and hopefully we can pull out a win this session. In this hand, the under the gun 1 player raises to $60, the big blind flats, and I look down at king queen suited in the straddle and decide to squeeze it up to $360. Only the under the gun 1 player calls. This under the gun 1 player, he's a recreational, but he plays a ton. He can actually play fairly competently, but he does have some severe tilt issues. When he's stuck, he tends to just give it away a lot. But it's early in the session, he's not stuck too much yet, and I expect him to be fairly in line for the most part. So we go to a flop with around $800 in the middle, and it's 3-4-4 with 2 clubs. Pretty nice flop for our hand. Flopping a flush draw and 2 overs to a lot of his middling pocket pair region. So I go for a bet of half pot, $360, and our opponent calls. We see a beautiful turned king of diamonds, and I decide to go for a smaller size of $500. I basically just think I have his range in really bad shape with my specific hand, because I really want to keep him in there with his hands that we basically have drawing dead, like middling pocket pairs and worse flush draws, and he makes the call. Going to a river with around $2,500 in the middle, and it's a 3. And I decide to bet $2,000. I think this is a pretty good size, puts a lot of his pocket pairs in a really rough spot, hands like 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, hands like that, which can very conceivably arrive at the river at full frequency. But he decides to make the fold, so don't know what he has, but we still scoop this nice pot. We see under the gun, a professional player, open to $60, and then under the gun 1, a recreational player, flats. I decide to just flat my hand here. You could squeeze, but I think flatting is better. Would rather just play in position to the recreational player and not reopen the action for the under the gun player to potentially 4-bet us. The straddle puts in the call, and we go to a flop of queen 9-6. We flop a beautiful middle set. It checks to me, and I decide to go for a roughly 1/3 size of $80, and only the under the gun professional player calls. I think his range is actually going to be quite strong here. And we see a turned queen. Very nice turn. If he has top pair, he's definitely going to be quite sticky on the turn. So he checks, and I go for a pot size bet of $400, just targeting his queen X and potentially other pocket pair hands that just don't believe us. He makes a call, and we're going to a river king. Bringing in
Jack 10 for an open ender if I was bluffing on the flop. The under the gun professional player checks, and I decide to put in $2,000. Don't want to go too big and let him start hero folding his queen X hands. He very quickly calls us and we show and win. Don't know what he had, but I'm assuming he just had a hand like ace queen, queen jack, queen 10. So we scoop this much needed $5,000-ish pot. In this next hand, we look down at ace jack offsuit and the straddle. We see a cutoff open from professional player to $60, and the big blind to my right makes the call, and I decide to just call my hand. Going to flop ace queen 8 rainbow, and it checks through. We see a turn now, 6 of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. The big blind, the recreational player checks, and I decide to fire out a small overbet of $240. I think our hand is just very strong here, so I went for this overbet size, and the cutoff calls us and the big blind folds. So we're heading to a river now, which is the river 4, and I just think it's gonna be very conceivable for us to have a lot of bluffs here, completing in the straddle pre-flop. We're just gonna have hands like king 10 off, jack 10 off, 10 9 off. These kind of hands that were all gut shots or double gutted on the turn, and it's pretty easy to just fire all those off after it checks through on the flop. So I decided that I'm going to get pretty greedy on the river here with my top pair, and I go for a size of $1,000, and the cutoff makes the call, and we scoop this $2,800-ish pot. So obviously nice to keep the run good going at this point in the session. And in this last hand, I look down at king 9 of diamonds in the small blind, and I open to $60. The big blind, sitting to my left, an aggressive young professional who I chat with a good amount, decides to 3-bet us to $220, and I decide to make the call. We're going to a flop now of jack 9-6 with 2 spades and 1 heart, flopping middle pair and 1 over to the jack. I check, and the big blind pretty quickly bets $300 for 2/3 pot. Don't think there's that much merit to raising, and I'm definitely not folding, so I make the call. And we see a turn ace of clubs with around $1,000-ish in the middle. I check, and the big blind counts out a bet of $1,100. I think at this point, when he chooses a pot size bet on this turn, he's just saying he has a pretty good ace. The thing is, I don't really fully believe his line after he uses a larger size on the flop. I just don't think he's betting that much ace-x for this size unless it's an ace-x of spades hand. And I also just think it's a turn that's pretty easy to over bluff. I decide I'm gonna get sticky and make the call. So I call, and we see a beautiful river 9 of club giving us a trip. So I decide to just continue and flow and check, and our opponent decides to go all in for 3.8k. I snap call, we just beat value, and he just says we're good and mucks his hand, and he later told me he had 7-8 for the flopped open ender and the river follow through. So I think it's a nicely played hand by him, and obviously I'm just never folding after I call the turn and make trips on the river. Nearly $12,000 pot. What a way to end the session. My phone ends up dying, so I had to stop recording, but we ended up winning $17,745 to be exact. So what a session.
Alright guys, we won a lot tonight, like plus 20k. I'm tired as fuck, played for like 14 hours. I'm exhausted. Finally, oh my god, thank god, Jesus fucking Christ, it's taking forever. Fuck all you haters, fuck you, I'll keep gambling, pieces of shit. Thanks for following, if you like me, see ya.